I think it's almost obligatory for someone who makes lore videos to make a Spamton Lore video, and I don't really have any better intro, so let's just jump into it. I will be going over more obscure stuff rather than saying the same thing that every other big YouTuber has already said. But I will do a quick summary, which, despite being a quick summary, actually ended up still being a big block of text. Full name. Spamton G. Spamton was once a normal Addison. The Addisons are those frickin' guys, those that just do nothing but advertise in the city area, who would spam emails to get people to buy his products based on what he said in his own words. I used to be the email guy. Like all the other Addisons, his products never really hit, but he would still boast about being big one day. He would call anyone and anything he could possibly do to get big. And eventually, he made the right call. After becoming a big shot, all the other Addisons got jealous and stopped doing things with him. He moved into a luxurious room in the Queen's mansion, but eventually he found the basement. He would be on the phone I cannot speak. He would be on the phone all day, every day, until one day, the person he was talking to either disappeared or just stopped helping him. He started losing all his money, so he was going to get evicted from the Queen's mansion, and in desperation, he would go to the basement and pray to the artifact that he found there. One of his friends, the Addisons, went to check on him, but there was just the phone hanging off from it's an old phone. It was just the phone. It was like he left in the middle of a conversation and it was making strange noises. Gaster noises. Eventually, he got evicted and lived in a dumpster for the rest of his life. Then the part that plays in the game happens, so I won't even go over it. Now to start crazy speculation. Look at Spamton's poster for a minute. Doesn't he look almost human to you? Sure, the poster is faded, so we can't see like the true skin color because it's like faded out. So it's slightly darker and dingier than it was supposed to, than it originally looked. In all of Deltarune, we only see one other human, which is us, Chris, despite humans and monsters living in peace in this world. The library, the place that this dark world is in, contains some of the only stuff about humans we have. The How to Take Care of a Human book, and the Human Souls book, or just souls, but specifically human souls. Spamton seems to be the only one aware of our soul as well, but then again, there are other Addisons with pink skin, so it's probably overthinking things. I'm not even going to bother telling you why Spamton was the person calling him on the phone. Just watch literally any other Spamton video, and they'll just blab on about Gaster for like 5 hours. What exactly was Spamton's career anyway? Likely something to do with vehicles. His poster says, "Big shot autos, take around town in our special," and then it gets cut off. He has multiple broken cars around his shop, and if I remember correctly, there was a dialogue about him having a really luxurious car. I don't remember fully, and it doesn't really matter either way. And biggest of all is the minecart ride that's in the basement with a bunch of Spamton buildings in the back, which would mean he was probably making an entire theme park. Or those buildings just materialized into existence for that fight, because, I mean, is that even a stretch, really? I don't think those phones and the peepus and literally anything else used to be there, so Spamton can just bend reality a bit. Which makes sense, considering he is a broken code. Furthermore, there's also that teacup ride. The teacup rides, I don't understand them really. They kind of look like they're part of travel in the cyber world, but I don't know. Which leads me to, not the teacup part, but just this part, how Spamton even found the basement in the first place. Clearly, Spamton was building his theme park in the basement and looked around the area and found it. Not sure why he obsessed over it, though. Now, what even is this robot? Oh, by the way, the robot is the artifact that they were talking about, clearly. Well, actually, that's literally not even a question asked, because you literally say basement robot, and then he talks about the artifact. Talking to Swatch after the Spamton neophytes, he says, "That robot was the embodiment of a Lightner's dream, a dream I helped create once. The Lightner filled it with their own hope, giving it incredible power. But in the end, nothing ever came from it, and it was left in the basement with all the corrupted data." Now, obviously, anyone would know this. Any Undertale fan knows that the robot is Mettaton Neo's body. But this is a timeline where Mettaton Neo and Alphys don't know each other, which confirms that Mettaton's body was entirely his idea. Alphys is just in that timeline, or in that world. Whatever Undertale and Deltarune are to each other, that Alphys was the one that made it, and in this one it's Swatch. But the big interesting thing here is the fact that this means that Mettaton, in his ghost form, no body, but he doesn't have an official name. Papyrus says he calls him Hapstabluk, but Undyne comments that Papyrus probably made that up on the spot. Anyway, has gone into the Dark World. And, like, how many other Lightners do we know about the Dark World, let alone go in the Dark World? So, with this in mind, Mettaton might play a bigger role in the future than you'd expect. Especially considering we literally don't even get to see him. Another strange bit is that he mentions all the corrupted data, which means all the glitches and other corruption and whatnot have nothing to do with Spamton, because this happened way before he was even there. Of course, it being a computer world, maybe it's a normal thing, but in a game that loves to break the fourth wall, it probably means something more. And now something completely different. This is a video from a channel called K-Din, with 2 eyes, I don't know how to pronounce it, K-Din, about why Spamton is even so short, and I'll link the original video in the description. All of the Addisons are really tall, so when Spamton is like one of the shortest characters in the whole game. In the shop, Spamton says, "Now I'm the it burns, ow, stop, help me, it burns guy," when he's talking about what he used to be, the email guy thing. Queen says being in her acid pool will make you shrink, so possibly he was tossed in the acid pool because he wouldn't leave, and shrank, as almost all of the random text seems to be a kind of flashback about the line about people taking furniture out of his room is when he got evicted. Now, something I didn't even put in this script, but I should note, is when Queen says that they'll shrink, they have tiny little houses. Spamton doesn't shrink that much, he just shrinks to like a midget size, but when Queen's talking about shrinking, they mean like becoming like the size of an action figure. So maybe not. I guess that just depends on how long you stay in the acid. Now about Spamton's other features, he has completely white skin, which I'd assume has something to do with interaction with Gaster, because his skin used to be pink, as we saw on the poster. And he has yellow and pink glasses with a black suit. Swatch claims that Spamton was impersonating him to get help and to get more people to trust him and buy his stuff, but I just don't believe it. Something about Swatch, he's just perfect, and how Spamton's name was removed from history, it feels like a cover-up. Like, the real one has been forgotten and removed from history and was replaced with this perfect version, is what it feels like to me. Because I don't want anyone to, I don't know, I can't say it right without saying the S word. No. If Spamton wanted to impersonate Swatch, why would he not just make the glasses the right color? It's not that hard. If you can make pink and yellow glasses, you can make orange and yellow glasses. But now, here's why they are actually pink. In the basement room with the teacups, this strange face can be seen before it fades away immediately, and the eyes on the face have the same color of Spamton's glasses, but reversed. Even stranger, when Spamton goes into his Neo form, the colors get swapped, and now match the basement face. which I don't know why that is. A lot of people believe the face is Spamton, but here's why it isn't. First of all, it makes no sense. If Spamton was already in the basement, why would he even need you to help him? Second up, the face doesn't even line up. Because Spamton is a, like, marionette type thing, puppet, whatever, he literally cannot make the smile that face does. Only his jaw moves up and down. Well, you can see him smile a little bit, but no teeth. He can't open his mouth, other than that jaw that just bobs up and down. Then who is the face? Well, the file name calls them friend, so that doesn't help. I'm sure you already knew what I was going to say this because of all the videos I've been posting and literally the thumbnail, but I think it belongs to the Mike character Spamton talks about. Mike was said to be a guy on TV and hinted at being a game show host, and at the end of the game, we see a TV that has a similar smile face on it. And someone pointed out that the smile is almost identical to Sans' smile. And Sans owns a store which could get advertised on TV, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities, but I highly doubt it. It just doesn't fit Sans at all. Now let's talk about the million Flowey references. Like I said in the other video, those are probably just to throw us off. There's no way for Flowey to possibly exist in Deltarune without some dimension hopping nonsense, which would go against what Toby said about Undertale and Deltarune not being connected. Back to Swatch. Swatch sells Big Shot bow ties, which is the same name that Spamton gave to his cars, Big Shot Autos, and there is no reason for Spamton to be ripping off Swatch's brand yet, so I'm even more sus of Swatch. I freaking put the S word in the script. But one thing to throw this off is that Swatch says that Spamton was once a valued customer, which means Swatch had to come before Spamton and Spamton go to his shop, so now I'm not 100% sure about Swatch being some replacement. But I still think Swatch is lying. I don't trust Swatch. Random note that I don't know where to put about Jevil. Spamton knows Jevil. He says, "I'll finally pass that clown around town." But a lot of people think they're friends for some reason. I guess just because that's how the fandom works. Like, these two characters are, like, related in something, so they must be, like, friends. But they definitely are more likely rivals, or at least Spamton doesn't like Jevil, because, first of all, he's talking about passing them and insulting them, and he also says, "Clown, no, I feel sick," when you exhaust his dialogue in the fight. So, Spamton doesn't like Jevil. Whether Jevil doesn't like Spamton or even cares at all, I don't know. And now, the big boy stuff. Spamton is the first character to bring back up the Angel's Heaven mentioned in Chapter 1, something we still know close to nothing about. The Angel is most likely Noel, or the player, but what about the Heaven itself? Oh yeah, and why Noel is most likely the Angel is because of multiple characters calling Noel Angel, including Spamton himself, who knows the most about the Angel, as from what we've seen. And then theories for the player. Spamton says that everything is still dark, and that when he gets big, he'll see past the dark. Does this have something to do with getting to the light world? Like being free from the dark world, being just an object. Also, what about the soul? If our soul is related to being free, then when Spamton takes our soul, he will become the player, making him no longer bound to the rules of being coding in a game. Maybe, but then again, souls just have a lot of power, and if the robot, which has a lot of power for some reason, which I didn't even touch on, why does the robot have this strange power? It's just Metaton Neo, who was really weak in Undertale. But I guess just anything that gives him power could make him free. I don't know. An important note is that Chris shows the most emotions of the game so far when interacting with Spamton, because Chris knows about the soul that they have and knows Spamton wants to take it, but they're hiding something. Because for most of the game, it seems like Chris wants to get rid of the soul, but they refuse to let Spamton take it. Then again, the soul getting taken away just kills you in the game, so I don't know. Maybe Chris is forced to have that soul. And the most interesting thing in the whole game is the line where he says, "Chris, do you want to be a heart on a chain your whole life?" This implies that we are the ones chained to Chris, being puppeted rather than the other way around like everyone else thinks. And if you think about it, it makes a lot more sense than you'd expect. After Chris is done doing whatever went out of our control, they always put the soul back in them at the end, forcing us to be with Chris, and only taking it out when they want to make a choice that we wouldn't make. I think of it as Chris using us to keep them on the right path. Chris was said to be a creepy kid and wasn't very nice and would pull pranks and all that. So he would probably make a pretty bad hero. So he uses us, the soul, to make him make the right heroic choices. And then Snowgrave happens instead. Because we're evil. Furthermore, we wanted to have our own vessel, to be our own character, but some strange voice forces us to be Chris instead. If Toby isn't lying when he says Undertale and Deltarune aren't connected, then the voice cannot be Kara, leaving the only other likely candidate to be Chris themselves, or just Gaster with a different tone, but that theory is pretty bad. One thing I'd like to note here is Spamton knows about the night, but can't say what he knows, like something was stopping him, threatening him or something. And maybe I'm crazy, but every time he says, "Hey everyone," the one is cut out, leaving just every. Could this possibly be a connection to Everyman? But he also leaves out the word "not" for no reason, so maybe it's nothing. Last thing, everyone knows about the many song references in Spamton's theme, but there are other Easter eggs in it. Listen closely and there's a distorted voice, and I'm not talking about it saying "Big Shot" 50 million times. I'll link a video deciphering that voice, the lyrics, but the line I want to focus on is the "please something, answer the phone." It sounds like he could either be saying Mike or night, and if it was night, that would be more evidence to say that the night is Gaster. But even if I want to hear the word night in there, all I can hear is Mike. Like, people in that comment section are constantly saying, you're just hearing what you want to hear, and that's why everyone hears different things. But I'm trying to hear the word night, and I'm still only hearing Mike. Up until now, there was nothing to suggest Mike was the one on the phone, but now this leads to so many more theories. A lot of people believe that Mike is just a fake hand name for Gaster, but I don't. So maybe Gaster wasn't the first person to find Spamton. What do you guys think about all this? I think I'm tired of writing this script. There are a few more things I could talk about, but I don't want to. I'm ending it here. I'm gonna make a really short video for one extra thing. And I'll like and subscribe and try effortlessly to debunk my theory for no good reason in the comments. Bye.